The Hampden District Attorney's Office has produced a video called Just Once to educate young people and their parents about the dangers of opioids and how quickly one pill can change everything. Carolee McGrath sat down with District Attorney Anthony Gulluni to learn more.
Just Once is really a program that we started about 4 years ago in response to really what we knew was an epidemic around addiction and around opiate use in particular. And it really features as its marquee presentation a video that my office produced around 3 or 4 years ago that is entitled Just Once. And what it implies is it really takes just one time for a young person to try a substance, whether it's a prescription medication that's misused or an illicit narcotic that's, opiate-based like heroin or fentanyl, for them to really find themselves in serious trouble. So the video itself features experts, Dr. Roos from Mercy and others, and in particular 4 young people who have had their own battles with addiction and at the time of the taping were into recovery. And they talked about how it started. And I think the interesting thing is, and the effective thing for the audiences that we have, is the 4 young people come from different backgrounds. And it really presents a story that I think resonates with young people across this county. And I think it lets them relate to what these young people have gone through so they sort of see it maybe through their own eyes and stay away from these problems. But ultimately, the young people in the video talk about addiction, talk about how it started, talked about really the lows and the awful situations in which they found themselves, and now getting through into recovery and the hope they now have for their futures.
I think that the title Just Once, of course, it makes so much sense, but teenagers are going to be skeptical, like, I'm just going to try it this one time. I'm at a party, it's just, what harm could come of it? That's a hard message to sell to a 17-year-old.
Yeah, we really focus on cracking through that confidence that they might have as young people. We were all young once and remember how it was to be invincible at 13, 14, 15 years old. So we really drive home the point that this can happen to anybody. And what this program includes, Carolee, is 2 or 3 folks who are in custody with the Sheriff's Department here in Hampden County, who after the video will speak very personally about their experiences. And many times they talk about growing up in a suburban atmosphere, and they talk about going to parties and maybe drinking beer or something like that. And this issue happened in a snap, and they find themselves now incarcerated. And they talk about the tragedies and the issues that confronted them as they dealt with addiction and what led them to commit crimes and find themselves in custody, and now how they see their futures. And very often these people who are in custody do a great job of imploring these young people to listen to the message and say, look at me, I was in your seat 5 years ago, and now here I am in jail, and my life
places in a second.
Exactly.
To go back
but they
in
say,
time.
listen to the message, listen to the message, listen to the video. So we really do try to crack through that confidence that these young people often have.
And what's the response that you've been getting from people?
It's been tremendous. I think it's really done a very good job of dealing with this crisis that spans all communities across Hampden County. And I think the best measure of its effectiveness, the best response we get is silence. When we're in front of people, as we were last week at Agawam Junior High School, about 500 7th and 8th graders, sitting there at 10 o'clock in the morning, they're rapt, they're focused on the message. And I look around now that we've done this many, many times. We've spoken to thousands of kids across this county in the last few years, and there are no teachers getting up to, reprimand a young person. There are no teachers getting up to take someone out. Really everyone, without exception, everywhere we've done this has been really focused on the message and is really absorbing it. And that to me is really important. And we think it's going to have dividends. It's going to pay dividends in the future.
Now you mentioned that you showed it to middle school students. I know this is naive as a nervous parent. Is that too young to start, or is that where you have to start? Do you have to start in 6th grade?
Absolutely.
With this message?
It's absolutely not too young for these kids. We know that kids across the county, no matter their socioeconomic position, are encountering drugs and the things that lead to addiction at 12, 13, 14, 15 years old. And, we've tempered the message, and we're careful not to offend or cause some emotional reaction from a 12 or 13-year-old. So the message is appropriate, but the message we think resonates, and it's powerful, and it's the time then 7th, 8th grade before they get into high school to really deliver that message in resounding terms.
Typically, what are you seeing as far as the high school students who kind of go down this road? Are they starting at a party with a beer and a pill? I mean, is that how they're kind of led down this road?
It happens in a panoply of ways, really. It starts like that recreationally, where a young person is at a party, is offered some sort of pill that he or she is not aware of. Addiction, we know, is a disease, and with certain people it takes hold very quickly. So that first instance can lead to addiction in a very quick and a very harmful and destructive way. But it starts also, when we talk to parents about this across the county, with prescriptions that are rightfully given by doctors or dentists. You have a child who has a football injury or a lacrosse injury or whatever it might be and is prescribed some sort of opiate-based painkiller, and that can really be the beginning of a major problem. So what we educate parents about is to be mindful in the prescription process. Talk with your doctor about what you think your young person needs based on his or her pain tolerance or based on how serious the issue was, whether it was a tooth removed or a surgery or something like that. And most importantly, really be very careful and watchful with your young person as he or she takes those prescriptions. Make sure you monitor how many pills are being taken when it's done. Keep an eye on your young person, because again, it can happen very quickly with certain people, and we know that, and that's basically science at this point.
Talk a little bit about the potency of fentanyl as well, and how prevalent that is in what you're seeing being removed from the streets and in different investigations.
Fentanyl is a manufactured substance that is in many cases 100 times more potent than heroin. So it's an extraordinarily dangerous substance, even just to make contact with for police officers and other first responders. But when it's being used by people, it can cause overdoses very easily because of its potency. And we're seeing it more and more often in Western Massachusetts. It's usually mixed in with other substances like heroin, so it's coming as a combination mixture as it's being used by users out on our streets. So we're trying to educate users, and I think most importantly what we're doing is making sure that naloxone or Narcan is as prevalent as possible. My office, along with CHD and Bay State Health, started a program where we're providing to first responders Narcan for free. So fire departments and police departments across the county can access Narcan for free. And it is a very expensive drug. It's a drug with a shelf life. So we're trying to encourage first responders and all people to understand how Narcan can save a life and really make it as prevalent across the county as possible, so we give people a second chance at recovery and a second chance at a good life.